Hey, welcome to another episode of Dave's Imaginations presents Dark Queen Ascension Adventures in Barovia. A recap of what is today's date. A recap of Thursday, January 20th. Thursday, January 20th, our adventurers had just gotten back, had just escaped the Amber Temple, and had figured out how to use the teleportation brazier and made their way to the Abbey St. Markovia, and Dr. Abbottstein. As they made it to Dr. Abbottstein, and they had left there, and they were on their way to return to Augenvostolt. And on the way there, they had met up with the were ravens of the Markovs, and we began the night. They were approaching Augenvostolt. So let's jump over to YouTube, and let's take a look at. So, like I did last week, I made chapters. of the video that we did last night. We, like every week, we put our game out on YouTube live. And then this morning I went back and I added chapters to that video. And so right here is the video, and you can see I've added the videos. So unlike the previous week, we started right away. Followed by the summary at 1:14. So now we can jump around, right? We start with the intro. Let's show more here, and we go. I just click here. Does it do it? Click there. So 1:14. Here I am, and we're running the intro. We approached Augenvostolt, and they remembered the dragon, and as they were getting close, they were thinking about that dragon. The first step of the into Augenvostolt, there's a trap that has already been sprung, and there's a little bit of a puff of air, but they remembered that and they avoided it. Near the beginning here, I had them encounter the Markovs again, and they had run into their brother, and they were thinking they were a bit crazy for going into the haunted house that was full of spirits as well as spiders, and they didn't like that idea. They thought they would be safer in the trees, and so they went on their own way, which was fine with the adventures. The team didn't hardly remember saying that this would be a safer place for them. Pretty sure that's happened, but I didn't go back and watch it. So they definitely did tell them that they were going there. And from there, they moved into Augenvostolt, and there was a little bit of debate about where they were going to spend the night. Eventually, they agreed that they would spend the night in with the barrels of wine, as it had the fewest entry points. But before then, they went and presented themselves to the spirits around the castle, to let them know that they were there and they wouldn't be surprised. Here they're talking to Vladimir Hungard again, and he's a grumpy old fuss, and he said, "Fine, you can stay." And that going through here rekindled their memory of all this about how one of them, this guy was all about, don't kill Strahd. He deserves to live in his curse forever, whereas the rest of his companions of Hungard's troop here would like it to be resolved so they could be set free. In the end, they got permission to spend the night here. They spent some time, the party did spend some time putting some alarms around the building. And that's what these red circles represent. Irina tried to get them to to go maybe in a room that had a fireplace, but they weren't having that. And before they went to bed, Irina and Katota and Olak went to check out the mausoleum, and they went in there. And basically, what they learned was that before they got the mausoleum, they did see that the graves have been, something has crawled out of the grave, and but it wasn't recent enough, and with all the rain, it was hard to tell. And eventually they did make it to the mausoleum. There wasn't anything in there. What they learned was that mausoleum is where the bones to Argynvost were at one time buried. And if we were to return the skull, it should be placed in here. And that would trigger the beacon. That would trigger the beacon as we move forward. And here they are getting set for their evening, and they decided to have watch. And the first watch we had, who was it? Varinka. It was Varinka, and who'd she do it with? Who did Varinka have watch with? Was it Olak? Might have been Olak. Yeah, it was Olak. And then in that, they took some time. Let's see. Olak wanted to go investigate the castle, and I let him. And so he was looking for raw materials, metal scraps, which he did, and he rolled a natural 20. So I gave him a good stash of it. He made a pile of that in the middle of the castle. So he did that, and then, as I recall, they did okay in their perception checks, as I recall, and they could hear wolves off in the distance. That's pretty much what they got. Eventually, it was time for them to go to bed, and that's what you're seeing here. As Varinka and Gloin, it was their turn, and Varinka wanted to go find a better place to watch from, but they weren't having that. They wanted to stay in the room, and Varinka tried to talk Gloin up. They both rolled pretty poorly on their perception checks, but so they didn't learn much. Here on the screen, you can see we were talking about the Tome of Strahd, and how in the back of the Tome of Strahd, I gave them the map, the blueprints to the castle. Now, above the table, that's not actually part of the Tome of Strahd, but I thought Tome of Strahd was kind of weak, and I thought they could use the aid, and so I gave it to them. It may not be current, right? But that is, they got the map to Castle Ravenloft as part of the Tome of Strahd. During that watch, they had conversation. Irina was talking up Gloin, trying to get out of him what his gift from the gods was. He was not gonna tell. He did not share that at all. And so, other than that, eventually they rolled their perception, and then they decided that their turn was done. I don't think there was much more to that. Their turn was, Irina was also trying to prod out of him what he might do after when they were able to escape Barovia, and so that was kind of a fun role play. Moving on, now let's slide down to the second watch. The second watch that's the first watch. That is the second watch. The first watch was Varinka and Olak. The third watch was Stryder. Did I do anything before the third watch? No, third watch is Stryder. And so Stryder, as a half elf, as an elf, he has the ability to, he only needs 4 hours for a long rest. So he only needs the 4 hours for a long rest, and so he took the second half of the watch. And in his watch, as he's sitting there thinking, he rolled on his perception score. I said it got very quiet outside. The rain stopped, and it was very quiet outside. And I was thinking he might go check it out, but he did not. And he just stayed put, and he started thinking about his personal quest to go to vanquish Sangzor, uh, the giant killer mountain goat. And I was trying to challenge him into thinking through exactly how he'd do that, and which he did some. But eventually, his watch was over, and in the morning, early to rise was Varinka. Varinka was amongst the first to get up, and she wanted to go train. She's eager, and she wanted to go train, and so she just got up and said, I'm going. And Strider's like, oh, wait, what? And kind of chases her down, and she goes out and she gets out her sun sword and she starts taking on small spiders. She was pretty smart about it, but she wasn't going to debate it. She was just going to do it. And she did. And Stryder was following her and watching, trying to get her to go back, and she was not having it. And she asked if Stryder wanted help, and Stryder did not want to help. So Stryder wanted to go back, and she wasn't doing it. So, but that was third watch, morning training with Irina. And then eventually, though, they got to the point where they're going to go out the front door. And outside the front door was a small gift, a container, a 12-inch kind of globe-ish container. And they were looking at it, and she was going to open it, and Strider's nervous about that and didn't want to. And so they took it back to the rest of the group. To have everyone look at it at the same time. Eventually, fortuitously, perhaps, I don't know if Wes recognized it or not, but Katota went up to the Varinka used her mage hand to open it, and nothing happened. So Varinka went up to look inside, and inside of the container was a small bit of ash, an inch worth of ash, and half buried in the ash was a note directly labeled. The note was a scroll per se, sealed with wax with a stylized S, as I described it, and it says, for a gift to the one that is called Ta. And so I had that pre-prepared, what that note said, and I sent it to him in an email live in the middle of the game so that we could have some mystery there. They talked about that. They read through it, a mysterious gift, and in the end, I don't know that Wes really said what it was, other than it was a gift from Strahd. But he did say that he thought Strahd might be a lich, and that he was more powerful than he thought. And whereas Wes had a aha moment there, whereas he went to bed thinking, we should storm the castle. In the morning with this gift, he was no longer feeling that way. I really enjoyed this gift, this mind game that Strahd's playing with him, as Noel's character Varinka and Leonard's character Gloin both had some amount of distrust of Katota after he received that gift. And so I thought that was fantastic. That's exactly what Strahd was going for. And so I found that fun. So moving on from there, mysterious gift is Strider's preparations. Now, a large conversation of topic all week. Our group is fantastic about sending chat messages, not chat, instant message on their phones. We have a group set up, and it's annoying to some, but I would say maybe two of them find annoying. I think the other four of us enjoy having the banter throughout the week and the text messages as they discuss possible things they're going to do next. And the big thing now is they have the Sun Sword, the Holy Symbol of Ravenkind, and the Tome of Strahd, not to mention Irina, their ally, and they know what they need to do, and as they contemplate what they want to do next. and that's all going on through Strider's gift. Through Strider's gift, um, he has the ability, he has the opportunity to go battle Sangzor, this killer king of the mountain goat, and so this is kind of a personal quest. And if he's successful in doing that, he would be given the leadership over all the wildlings and druids of Barovia, and set them free of Strahd's control. And so the group believes, and rightfully so, based on what has been transpired with Strider's gift from the god, that it might be a good idea for him to do this personal quest. And so at this point, they're preparing for that. Ulak casts the spell Aid on him, giving him 10 bonus hit points. And he also gave it to Varinka and Irina. Also, Varinka sent his owl familiar with him, and so when they left, they all went together. So that kind of happened over a period of different times in this video. Strider's preparations, contemplations on Strahd, and then so we would break back and forth between the team debating what they want to do for Strahd and going back to Strider and his personal quest. So there was contemplations on why hasn't Strahd come and gotten Varinka already, and to be totally frank, I think that's a failing of this module. It doesn't exactly tell you why. I guess that's up to my discretion. I have a reason in my head why he hasn't done it, but it's not specifically explained why he just doesn't go get her. If he's already bitten her twice, it makes complete sense. Why isn't he coming in for the final bite? We did say that part of his curse is every time he starts to get close and just as his visage of Tatiana, his true beloved, he thinks that she is within his grasp. Just at that point, she dies. Something happens that it doesn't happen, and that's his curse. So perhaps that's why. But as part of the revelation of the evening, Irina does share that her gift from the gods is she has been told how or what must be done in order to end Strahd and free everyone of the curse. And it was something like show up as his bride, but then sometime right before they're about to get married, she is to end him and kill him. And Sunsword's involved in some way, but that's pretty much what she says. And so that was a revelation from Irina. As we look at Strider's preparations, let's go to this next gift, Mystery's gift. Strider's preparation, contemplations on Strahd. Stryder flies off, and so as we're considering this, and we look at the map, and I coached Christian a little bit of this, and I said, you realize as the bird flies, and that was a strong hint, as the bird flies from Argynvost to Mount Gacus, it's only really 5 miles. Yeah, sure, you're going through valleys and there's altitude changes, but really it's only 5 miles. And so the amount of time it would take for you to fly there versus to travel to the Abbey, use the teleportation, get to the Amber Temple, find your way from the backside of the Amber Temple to the front side where the wildlings are, that's going to be much longer than if you just fly there. And so that is what he did. He turned into a giant eagle and he flew to the Amber Temple. And through this, is it at this point? Let's see here. As he flies the Amber Temple, is it? And then, so we went back and forth between Strider's preparations, Strider's personal quest, and contemplations on Strahd. And eventually, Strider gets to the Amber Temple and starts to have his conversation, his encounter with the wildlings at the Amber Temple. And I told him to roll a persuasion check, and he just did okay, or I think he rolled an 11. That was not enough to put them under a spell, but eventually he figured out the one word that they might have in common, because he did ask, "Hey, do I speak their language?" And at first I thought, "Hey, it makes sense that he would speak his language," but I had prepared a whole thing and where he didn't understand the language, and I said, "Well, you'll understand their language once you complete their ritual." And he's like, "What ritual?" This whole thing is a ritual. The whole going and dealing with the Sangzor is a ritual. And when he said the word Sangzor, that got their ears. And he also had the blood spear Kavan, which was a relic of the wildlings, and gave them some respect. Gave Without that blood spear, they would have probably killed him outright. But because he had it, the leader there approached him and said, "No, I'll take that from you." And he says, "Oh, no, 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 no." And he says, "Sangzor." And that's when she led him outside, and I said she drew in the snow, and it was almost like a minor illusion. And we had a series of images. Anyway, so I had a series of these drawings drawn in the snow. The first one was they're dancing around a fire with a dude encased in ice. The second one was they're praying over a dude encased in ice. The third one is they move that case of ice into the cave, and I show them another dude encased in ice in the cave. And then outside of the cave, after they get him in there, they're praying again. And when eventually the large mountain goat comes and chases them off. Now, I don't think Christian picked up on the fact that this dude in the middle is supposedly frozen. So there's something a little. If you watch this, Christian, there's another clue for you. This guy is frozen, and this other guy was the same frozen dude is all broken apart. So you can just think about, how did that happen? All right, this guy has an extra that's obviously he's just been killed. The other ones ran off, and then in the image, in the story, we said that the leader lady cut her hand with a knife and dripped the blood onto the scene. I thought that made for a cool dramatic effect of them blood spattering over the snow, as symbolizing the death that would have been ensued. And so the leadership kept saying, "No, Sangzar," and shaking their head, "Don't do Sangzar." Eventually, they did tell him where it was. The map gave him a map through the hills and up to the peaks, and that's where you'll find Sangzar. He got what he needed. And so with that information, he turned into a giant owl, and he flew off. And for Christian, that is where we ended the night. But meanwhile, back at the Batcave, or Argynvolstolt, there was a revelation. Gloin reveals right there in the midst of Argynvolstolt, in the foyer of. He transforms and reveals that his gift is he has the ability to transform into a gold dragon, wormling, but a gold dragon. And I share with him that the intent is that the standard spells that a gold dragon has, he does not have those standard spells, but he has his own spells that he can use in dragon form. So that's pretty cool. And he can speak Draconic, and he said, "Oh, I already had that." Yeah, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't remember that. I didn't check. But he has that ability. And then he also says his catch is that he must, in certain amount, so many times in a certain amount of period, he must consume a humanoid. So, but that's the gift from the god that he had. And with that, we pretty much ended the night. So that was last night's, was it? Thursday, January 20th. That was our D&D session, and I found it to be quite fun. That mysterious gift made my evening for how confuddled that made everyone. Fuddled, that word? I don't know. Sounds right. So how confuddled that made everyone as the gift, and so, and not to mention the huge reveal by Leonard. That was awesome. And then I'm excited for for Christian to take on his personal quest and see how that goes. So we'll play that out next week. All that and more next week on Dave's Imagination Presents Dark Queen Ascension Adventures in Barovia. Until next week, take care.